Hey guys, so welcome back. We just finished on how to create an employee, and we're going to go ahead and move forward in this tutorial sessions to start talking about how to create clients and projects, task codes, etc. So as you see, I left the screen exactly how you guys left off in the previous video. I am running these videos back to back. If you guys are really keen with your eye, you'll see in the bottom right corner on my time clock that I'm just simply recording and then recording again and recording again. Because as I stated in the very first video, these videos are going to be a little bit less polished than our introduction video, but we will come back and repolish them out later on. But for right now, we're just trying to get content up for you guys to make it more beneficial for you guys and to see what we're all about here at BQE Consulting to give you guys some ultimate information. And it's free, so what the heck, right? Sometimes you gotta deal with what you gotta deal with. So let's go ahead and get into on how to create a client. That's gonna be our next step. We're gonna create our first client here, okay? And just as a reminder, if you guys have not did not watch the previous video to create an employee, please make sure you go do that first off. And second off, if you are coming over from QuickBooks, if you're originally a QuickBooks person, please do not create clients you already have in your QuickBooks database if you're following this tutorial right now. Because if you plan on integrating the two softwares and you plan on getting your stuff out of your QuickBooks database, you create anything that you have right now already in QuickBooks, you will duplicate the information. Again, please do not create anything. I do not want you guys to do a bunch of work, then create yourself a crap ton more work just because you made a simple mistake. Okay? So let's go ahead and get started creating those clients. We're going to go up to the view drop down up here, and we're going to have that clients. Again, that view drop down is going to be our golden key for the next like 3 or 4 videos. So get used to getting up to that view drop down. We're going to click on the clients section there. Again, we're not going to run through these wizards because, in my opinion, more information is the better. And we're going to see that we have clients here. Now, all these videos I'm going through right now are very simple things. They're clients, they're employees, and everything else. And if you really think that you can get a grasp on this and run through them yourself, go ahead and skip over to our projects section, because our project section, depending on your industry and what industry you're in, should be pretty beneficial for you. There'll be a multi-part in there. It'll be like I don't know what the number is going to be yet, but like a 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, because depending on which industry you're in, we're going to kind of lay it out a little bit differently than you. And even if we lay it out for you, you probably will have tons more questions, and that's what we are here to provide you, is that service to answer those questions and to isolate your workflow, how you guys operate, and to take these generic videos and make them even more powerful for you. So now that we're in the client screen, again, client ID is completely up to you on how you want to put that in there. You can put the company name in there, repeat the company name in the company field. It's really up to you, okay? Keep in mind, the company field, the contact information on this all ends up on an invoice. The client ID does not. So you can put in whatever you want for the client ID. It will not end up on an invoice. But your company field and your contact info section here, so company and contact info, will end up on an invoice, okay? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to say that we hired ABC Company, LLC, okay? And you can see here, all I'm doing is typing it all in. And I'm literally going to just copy and paste it in there. That's all I'm going to do. That's how I'm going to set up mine. You can just do ABC at the top and then ABC Company, LLC. Completely up to you on how you want to do it, okay? The manager, I'm going to say Bob is the manager of this. If you see, if I hit the drop down here, I get the option of all my current employees that I placed in. If you do have some vendors that are employees, okay, or vendors that are managers, they're technically not an employee, they're a vendor, and so you put them in as a vendor, but they work kind of like an employee. It happens at all the companies, don't worry. We're going to hit the save button here, and we'll show you a little trick here. By default, this will not show vendors. But if we go into the Tools section here, and we go into Filter, we will have an option to Show Vendors right here. We click on that, and we hit the OK button. You'll see that the filters icon turned like a little greenish background. And now, if we hit this drop down, we don't have any vendors in there, but we would actually see vendors. And we know it's a vendor by this far right column saying sub for subcontractor. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and select Bob as the manager here. The client is, as of today, that's fine. The federal ID, we don't need any of that unless you're a CPA or a lawyer. You may need that federal ID of that client, and if you so choose, put it in. Also, it's a good idea, you know, if you keep track of their IMEI number, or IMEI, excuse me, IENs, etc. EINs. Wow, I cannot even speak today. So your EINs or your Social Security numbers, if it's a DBA. So make sure, you put what you can in there. Now you can kind of have it all in one space. And then we're going to go to the contract info here. I'm going to say 854 Main Street. And they're also in Torrance. Okay. Then we're going to hop over into the Detail tab. And you're going to see, you can fill out the rest of it here, country, email, web. And we're going to see that over here we had no place to put in, like, attention to John Smith or Tammy Tucker. We just simply had the company name. Some people like to do this, some people don't. I'll tell you right now, if you come into the Detail tab and you do put this name in here of the attention to, it will show up on the invoice. So if you do not want their name to show up on the invoice and you simply want just ABC Company to show up on the invoice, then do not put this information in. Put it in your custom fields, put it in maybe as a contact and link it to the client. We'll talk about that later. But do not put it in the main contact section or it will show up on the invoice. Okay? So we're going to go ahead. We're okay with it showing up on the invoice, and we're going to put in here Tammy Tucker. And we're going to go ahead and hit the Save button. We're going to move over to the Billing tab, and you're going to see our payment terms is net 30. If you want your payment terms to be due upon receipt, then make sure you clear out your payment terms here and just leave it blank. But if your payment term is truly a net 30 and it's due upon 30 days, go ahead and put that in there. Again, remember, late fees are not applied unless you apply them manually. So feel free to leave the payment term in there to make it look pretty like your contract says it's due within 30 days. But know that the system will not generate that late fee for you automatically because most companies just threaten with late fees. They never actually implement them because they just simply want their money back and what they actually earned. So the next is we have our currency. You do not need to put this in here. It will default to your global currency that you set when you first created your company file. Your fee schedules, service fee schedule, and the expense fee schedule. We're talking about those rate cards, the different rate schedules. We can actually set one at a client level. However, it doesn't really matter at a client level. It only matters at a project level. But this will be a default for any new project you create for that client. So that's really nice that they give that feature in there where we can actually set it at a client because we might make an agreement with that client for certain rates, and any project we create for that client will inherit that fee schedule. But even such, let's say for example we made 3 or 4 projects for this client, but on one project we decided to change the rates, we can then go to that specific project, modify the fee schedule, and it doesn't matter what the client fee schedule says, the project fee schedule has been changed. So a really nice feature for inheritance purposes. If you have a rate card you want to put in there, go ahead and put it in there. We haven't covered rate cards yet and service fee schedules and expense fee schedules yet, but once we do, know that's what it's there for. Main service tax, main expense tax. This is going to be very huge if you guys are in Canada or the UK or any other country that charges a federal tax for both service and expenses on your goods and services that you provide. So, for example, if you're in Canada, it might be around 15% in VAT or 7%. If you're in the UK, I know it's like 15%. So definitely make sure, VAT. So make sure that you put your VAT in there. Now, remember, this is not a you're not doubling this by putting 15 here and 15 here. This will be the 15% tax for services, and this would be 15% tax for expenses. So it's not 30%. It's 15 for services, 15 for expenses. You guys call it VAT or value added tax, which basically does it on service or expense. So you want to make sure you put 15 in both spots. Okay. With that being said, we have like MST to exclude item tax, MET to exclude item tax. We can get this more detail down the road when we start getting into time entry and expense entry. Send invoices via email. Please do not check this box. I don't know why they even have this box in here. I mean, I guess if billing is completely disconnected from anything else in the company and they have no clue, then yeah, I get it. But it is an absolutely annoying feature. You can send your invoice via email even right from the system, even without having that checkbox checked. Please don't do it unless you really want to be annoyed for a lot of different pop-ups when you start actually doing billing. Default to join invoice. So we haven't talked about what a joint invoice is, and we probably won't talk about it until we get through projects. And you'll come back and you'll note that that's here. Maybe on your paper of your notes right now, kind of write joint invoice question mark for the client screen, and we'll go ahead and talk about it another time. Invoice templates is something that they finally put on the client level. It was requested forever at a client level. They never wanted to do it at a client level, and they finally did it, and it's nice that it's there. So you can click on the invoice templates and you can select the default invoice templates for your different types of contracts and different types of invoices. So for this client. Now, with that being said, we actually haven't gone through all of this just yet. That's way down the road during billing. So just note that it's there, just like the default joint invoice. Go ahead and just write down your notes, like maybe come back to it later. Message on invoice is pretty self-explanatory. I can explain that to you real fast. It's simply something that shows at the very bottom of your invoice on every invoice that you create for this client. And basically it's some kind of message. Now, we do have message on invoice at the project level. So just like the fee schedules I talked about, this will default to every single new project you create for this client, but you can change it at a project level. The nice thing about this message on invoice is you can go ahead and put anything you want in here, regards to, like, maybe there's a certain kind of tidbit information, an account number or whatever for the specific project or for the specific client, and you want that information there. Maybe you accept payment from that client a different way, you want to give them a different account number, whatever it may be. It's a nice little box. You can put some text detail in there for the client to see for every invoice you create for them. Okay. Under summary, you can see here that it's basically an aggregated matrix that you can look at for different kind of costs, services, and everything else. So a lot of this information you can get on reports, and even in this screen you can hit the print button and it will come out as a report in certain ways. So it's a nice screen to come into if you're trying to look at things at a client level and kind of see how this client's performing. Most of the time you'll be looking at this through reporting, but like if you want to just kind of just dive in there real fast, get a little quick glimpse this year, how they're doing, that's how you do it right there. You can also change time frames at the top. This year, all dates, last year, last month. You change your from date to date, make it a custom period, completely up to you. So a little nice little feature there, just kind of analyze your client real fast. And we have history tab, which will show all the invoices and payments that client has made. And on this line, on one of these line entries, if you double click on it, it will bring you to that said invoice or said payment. Once you're done with all of this, as always, hit that save button and you're good to go. So this has been how to create a client. And if you like this video, make sure you please smash on that like button. Make sure you definitely hit the subscribe button just in case you guys want to see more new content as we release it, so you don't miss any of our new gushy stuff. And as always, we'll see you to the next video.